I welcome you all to the 5th monthly HBNI alumni webinar. I welcome Professor B.K. Nayak, Associate Dean HBNI students, HBNI, students and faculties who are online and other participants to the webinar. This webinar series is designed to help the present students of HBNI in their placement and to connect with our alumni of HBNI. I also welcome our esteemed alumni speaker, Dr. Arnab Deka, who has agreed to give a talk for our students. Dr. Arnab Deka completed his PhD in Engineering Sciences from Institute of Plasma Research, Gandhinagar, ACI of HBNI. With a strong academic background and a passion for innovation, Dr. Arnab Deka transitioned to the industry. Currently, he is working for the Nuclear Neutronics Group of Capgemini Engineering. Thank you all for being part of today's webinar. I encourage you to actively participate and ask questions and engage with our speakers and fellow alumni. Your contribution and perspectives enrich the dialogue and enhance the overall experience for everyone involved. Do you want to say something? Okay. So without any delay, now I will commence on this webinar. So over to our alumni speaker, Dr. Arnab Deka. So Arnab Deka, please.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for the warm welcome. Thank you, HBNI, for giving me the opportunity to deliver this talk today. So I'll share my screen and start the talk. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's good.
Okay.
It's visible.
Okay. So yeah, the agenda of the today's talk is how do we bridge the gap between academia and industry. So this talk is primarily targeted for early PhD students and who want to make a transition to the industry from the academia after their PhD. So the whole talk focuses on finding ways and preparing oneself during the course of the PhD journey in order to navigate the job scenario of various companies. So particularly, I've avoided talking anything about postdoc and other academic transition because I just want to talk about industry transition. So here I'll be mostly describing the current trends in industry. So as ma'am has given me a good introduction. So myself Arnab Deka, I did my PhD from IPR Gandhinagar. Right now I'm working as a engineer at Capgemini Engineering. So first of all, let us understand the difference between academia and industry. So in academia, we tend to work on a big research which lasts for several years, like let's say 3 to 4 years or maybe even more than that. And then we tend to find a long-term solution for it. And when we write research paper, we deliver our research to the world community, scientific community to judge them and to find and give a decision about our research. Whereas in industry, we are more focused on application, and where we kind of work on specific problems which are very short term. and we tend to deliver our solution and products in a very short span of time. So the basic difference in terms of research and the duration is that where we need to focus on a very short objective in industry, whereas we focus on a long-term goals in academia. So while I talk about short-term objective, the objectives would be to deliver a product or service within a team and mostly within a team. So while I talk about team, because in industry, when we are delivering a big scale of product, so there will be n number of people working on the same product. So for each person, there will be a task allocated, and we need to strictly follow the timeline in order to deliver the product. Whereas in academia, we mostly work independently, and while working independently, we have ample amount of time in our own hand and to decide the time at our own size. But whereas in industry, we are mostly working in team projects, which makes timing and strictly adhering to the timelines of the project very crucial. So so there is the crucial, the key differences between academia and industry. So what kind of skills a PhD student can transfer from academia to industry? In a PhD, we first of all we do a lot of analytical thinking and critical analysis. So whether we're working in a system or we're working with data, we tend to work on it throughout many years to understand the nitty-gritties of the system and the data, and to find meaningful answers from those system and the data. So this is one of the biggest skills what a PhD student can deliver to from academia to the industry. So that's why PhD students are highly coveted in the industry because of our critical analysis, and that is what makes a difference between a graduate and a PhD graduate. Then the next thing is the problem solving. So as a PhD student works on a complex problems, and we tend to find innovative solutions to problems which have never been seen by mankind. So the problem solving attitude of PhD students are highly remarkable. So that is one of the biggest skills what the PhD students transfers to the industry. Next is project management. So over the course of PhD, a PhD student plans, organizes, and manages resources for 5 to 6 years, and then during this planning and organizing, a lot of things are being learned on a student's own whim, because one has to plan the experiments or the theoretical studies, one has to run simulations, one has to study a wide range of literature, and then one has to organize the experiments. They have to discuss with their mentors, guides, and they have to manage their resources, the lab resources, the time resources, and everything. So a project management is the biggest skill which a PhD students also delivers to the industry. So what are the skills required by a PhD student in order to survive in industry? And some of the skills are obviously are generated within the PhD duration, and other skills which I right now believe that a PhD student must try to cultivate during their time of study in the PhD. One second. During the course of their PhD. So first is technical proficiency. So when I talk about technical proficiency, a PhD student undergoes a lot of studies, experiments, and knowledge sharing, and which makes once a student very technical, if I have to say. So apart from technical proficiency, the biggest skills which I believe right now among the PhD students, at least in India, that PhD students lack business acumen. When I talk about business acumen, it is very important to understand the market, the costing, the dynamics of the market, how a product is being treated in the market, why we are doing a product, what is the economic value of the product, and everything. And the business acumen must be cultivated by a PhD student right from his starting of the PhD career in order to understand the economics of any project. Next is communication skills, which we all know is crucial in any field. In fact, it's because in industry job we need to communicate with a lot of peers which are not from scientific background. They will be from business, they will be from sales, they will be from the management side, and as a scientist, as someone who is a very as an expert in his or her field, one has to communicate the ideas and the new findings very effectively. We have to tone down, we have to bring down to the level that each and everyone could understand the technology which we're developing. And this is important to carry the communication skill to the industry level, because when we are working in an research institute, we tend to talk among our own professors and own friends who are excellent in their own field. So we don't tend to explain in a like in a toned down manner. We explain in a more technical and scientific way. But apart from that, it's very important to come out of their own bubble and try to share the knowledge. I mean, in a way so that anyone in the company can understand. Next is teamwork. So mostly what I've observed during my PhD years is that like there are different kind of PhD students. First is one who works in a big lab. Obviously, they do in a teamwork, but there are PhD students which they work in a small lab. So there will be only one person working in a small system, and only the PhD guide to mentor him or her. So in those students, the cultivation of teamwork goes missing over the 5 to 6 years. And then when they come to industry, it gets very difficult for them to work in a team. So if somebody works in a team right from the PhD at the beginning of PhD, it's very good and fine. But if someone works on a very small team or works alone, I would strongly suggest that to cultivate the spirit of teamwork, to talk with other lab members, go to other lab to observe how the lab functions, how team functions, how the dynamics are maintained. Because in any industry, there is a strong hierarchy, in a big hierarchy, right from engineers to the product managers, to the senior directors, the VPs, and the CEOs. So everyone is a stakeholder in any project. So to keep everyone updated in the project, it's very important to cultivate the spirit of teamwork. Next is adaptability. As a PhD student just work around in the lab and they are adapted to their own system and their mentor, but coming to industry, one must develop their own wings to adapt in the situation, so that they can talk with everyone, they can communicate with everyone, they can work like even after hours, and they deliver the projects on time, which are very much time dependent at most of the cases. So adaptability is one of the one key skills what a PhD student must cultivate during their PhD life. So how do a PhD student identify career opportunities? So first of all, in any industry, first of all, it's very important to understand what are the industry needs and trends. Let's say if I have to look, as I'm from nuclear industry, and I have to, let's say I want to go for a job in a nuclear domain, and I have some certain skill sets, and when I need to look for a job, first of all, I need to have a thorough understanding what the industry is currently doing, what are the needs of the industry, in which sector of the industry the market is moving, what kind of work the industry is doing, what are the trends in the market, where the business is moving, where the money is flowing, and 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 uh, and the industry needs depends on the flow of the money. If a new technology is being developed and there is a lot of investors' money in the technology, we must understand what kind of technology is being developed. Then one needs to understand the emerging technologies, which is like any field will have a niche technology segment, and that technology must be understood in detail in order to fit oneself in that category of the work. Next, I would suggest the PhD students to explore sectors which aligns with your skills and interest. So in any job market, in any company, there will be a lot of requirements and there will be a lot of technologies and trends. So one must reevaluate oneself and align your own skills and interests and see where one can fit into that job profile or into that specific industry. Then after kind of exploring yourself and exploring the industry needs, then we need to identify the job roles which actually matches our expertise. Then identifying job roles can happen in many ways, which I'll describe in the next slides. And then also one important thing which I would like to suggest to the PhD students is that it's very important to network and like discuss with your seniors or people who work in industry. So I would suggest like people who are students who are in the early stage of their PhD must do a lot of networking. They should contact their seniors who are working in just different industries of their own liking right from the beginning of the PhD, and just like have a good rapport with them, understand what kind of work they do, what kind of skills they have developed, what kind of tools they are using in the industry, what kind of experimental tools, what kind of simulation tools, what kind of theoretical knowledge they are using. So apart from so that the PhD students, apart from their own work in their PhD, they can also develop their job hunting capacity alongside during their PhD journey. So I would strongly suggest doing more networking and like asking for questions, relevant questions to the industry experts. So so how do one look for a job? Like I mean, these are pretty straightforward things, but I would like to highlight because building a strong resume itself is a kind of it's a skill nowadays, because resumes are there are a lot of applicants for it's an every job profile, and it is very important to make a very strong resume so that it's an every skills are being highlighted, all your experiences are quantified, I mean, and your achievements quantified. You need to specifically mention what kind of skills you have, what kind of experiences you have been carried all through your PhD journey. You need to in a focus to quantify your achievements. Let's say one PhD student writes 4 papers. He, in the summary itself, or in the description, one really needs to write that, okay, I have worked on 4 papers. Let's say one has worked on improving efficiency of a machine by, let's say, 20%. So that quantification is very important. One is to specifically write that, okay, I have improved the efficiency of the machine by 20%. So generally we tend to just write the name of our project, but only with the name of our project, it doesn't displays too much information to the hiring managers. The hiring managers always looks for skills, experiences, and quantifiable achievements. And in a way, then your CV will be separated out from the mass. So it's very important to tailor your CV according to the industry specific keywords. What I mean by industry specific keywords is that in industry job descriptions you'll find a lot of keywords. What is the job requirements? What kind of skills they require? So an aspiring PhD student who want to go for a job must read through a lot of job descriptions over and out. They might not be interested in the job profile, but they should read the job descriptions to see what are the industry keywords are trending right now, and what kind of skills one must develop so that they can fit into the job market. So the keyword is a very important thing in a resume, because our resumes, when we put it in any online portal or in LinkedIn or whatever, all those should be keyword specific. A hiring manager always look for the keywords. Let's say I'm expert in MATLAB, for example. So a hiring manager will search for the term MATLAB. So if I don't have the word MATLAB in my CV will never be found. So it's very important to highlight the keywords. So it can be your experimental skills, theoretical skills, any kind of skills. Next is LinkedIn profile. I know like nowadays, like everyone has a LinkedIn profile, but I also see a lot of incomplete LinkedIn profile just with their name and not much information about their kind of work they do or skills they do. I strongly suggest LinkedIn to have a strong LinkedIn profile. It's a detailed summary with the experiences, the conferences you have attended, the papers you have wrote. If you're working for some project, if you're working for some side project, always have a good description about them. And so that any recruiter, if they are looking for a profile, they come out your resume and they want to check your LinkedIn profile, at a first glance, they should be able to have a good understanding of your profile, what kind of work you were doing, and what kind of experiences you have. So I would suggest to everyone to build a good LinkedIn profile. Next is updating job portal profiles. In fact, which is Naukri.com, Glassdoor, and so on and so forth. And in fact, even I have changed to job 2 times, and both my jobs were I was hired by Naukri.com. Like I put my resume in Naukri.com with like with all the like keywords and achievements and skills, and even I get calls now and then from Naukri.com itself for different kind of jobs. So it's very important to have updated job profiles. And when I say updated job profile, your resume should be updated regularly, at least once in 3 months. And also you should beat the algorithm by opening those profiles now and then. At least if you're actively looking for a job, I would really suggest that you should open all Naukri.com or Glassdoor at least like maybe 2 times a week, so that your profile is relevant. And when a recruiter is looking for your profile or the skill sets which you have, you always appear at the top of their like their search algorithm. So you need to constantly log in, update your profile. If you are developing new skills, just update it immediately so that you stay relevant in the job market. Next is to leverage the professional networks and alumni connections. Again, HBNI has a strong alumni. The people are working in abroad, in India, in academia, in jobs. So I would suggest everyone to connect those alumni in LinkedIn and understand the work they do, like communicate with them, understand what struggles they have faced, what kind of work they're doing, what kind of work is coming up in their company, what kind of new skills are being required in the company or in or any specific industry. So I would suggest the PhD students to be proactive in networking among their seniors and alumni. So next, coming to the interview preparation, let's say you are at the end of your PhD and you are looking for a job, and you have done all the procedures correctly, and you get a call from recruiter, and like what you want to do. So first, I would suggest that you immediately go to the company and research all the products, services, culture, and the developments in the company. Understand what kind of work they are doing, understand what kind of uh, company hierarchies there, what kind of services they provide, what is the culture of the company, what are the developments, are they going doing good research, what are the new things they are being developing, who are the people working there. Go to LinkedIn, go to their LinkedIn profile and see what kind of who are the people working there, where they have studied, what are their academic backgrounds. Then so that you feel comfortable, if you're selected in the company, you know with whom you will be working at the end of the day. So that's very important. Second is you should review the job description to identify key skills and responsibilities. So if you get a call from a company, already the recruiter will identify your key skills. But in case you are trying to like kind of applying for a job, so you must go to the job description, identify the key skills and responsibilities, and then you do a self meditation to understand whether you go fit into the skills and responsibilities. And if you're 100% positive, you, uh, then you should apply depending on the need of the company. Then after applying, one should practice the common questions and scenarios. Of course, as a PhD student, it's quite easy to answer the technical questions because we are involved in our project, in our work for so many years, so we know in and out of the project. But industry requires behavioral questions, which sometimes many people kind of go amiss because they are not never prepared to answer behavioral questions, because in academia hardly behavioral questions are being asked. So in the industry, questions related to teamwork, collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, leadership and initiative, and handling conflict are very much relevant. One should prepare oneself to handle questions which which ask them about teamwork, so which ask them about problem solving. So as an example, recently I gave an interview, and then the interviewer asked me like, uh, give me an example when you had faced a problem and how did you solve it. So one should be prepared to answer those kind of questions. One should self-analyze oneself and understand what kind of problem one has solved over the time, and how it has been solved. What kind of things one did to solve the problem. So next is about critical thinking, and also leadership is very important once you go to an industry, because as a PhD student, once you go to a industry job, you are taken to be a leader, because you need to handle project and you need to drive the project on your own. And you're not an entry-level engineer or scientist. Once you go from a PhD, you are in a mid-level career. So it is very important to have a leadership and leadership quality. So they may ask questions about your leadership quality, what kind of things you do to display your leadership. And initiative is one more very important point, because industry needs initiators. So where in PhD, most of the time, I mean, there are certain things which goes on in auto mode, because we know the project has to go on and so direction. But in industry, there are a lot of initiatives to be taken on our own to move in a project. We need to communicate with some other people, with business people, with management people, to get in the funds, to get the project moving, to get some approvals done. So to 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 take initiative at each and every step is very important quality. So one should develop all these qualities, and at the same time, one should be prepared enough to answer all these questions during the interview. So while also during any interview, an interviewer also ask you to ask questions to them, uh, to to know about the company and everything. So before you go to an interview, always ask thoughtful questions about the company, about the team which you will be working with, and what kind of role, what is their expectation from you, what kind of work they would like to do from you, and all those things. So always be ready with questions to ask them. And also at the same time, if you're really interested in the job, so your questions will demonstrate your interest and engagement. So if you're really interested, ask questions relevant to your positions, what kind of tools you'll be using, what kind of people you'll be meeting. So it will, at the same time, your head will be clear with a lot of doubts about what kind of work you'll be doing. And at the same time, it demonstrates interest and engagement regarding the position which you're applying for. So yeah, I'll go to the next slide. So I'll give a personal experience from my career, how I've navigated all these years. So I did my PhD in engineering science from IPR, where I developed a spectroscopy system for diagnostics of hydrogen neutral beam for nuclear fusion. So when I work on this project of developing a spectroscopy system and for hydrogen beam and for nuclear fusion, so it looks like a it from academic point of view, the skill sets required for this are very specific, that I'm developing a spectroscopy system for neutral beam. But when I translate my skills to an industry level, so first of all, initially I was working for a company called River Engineering. It is a manufacturing company based in Noida. So they wanted someone who has experience in radiation and plasma. So I got hired because they want something to work on UVC radiation and air plasma ionization. So although I have some skill sets related to my skill sets linked to my PhD. So if I only write in my CV that I develop only this system and I don't write the other skills which I have, I would have never been called to that job. So it's very important to write all the macro skills which you have studied in your PhD, because in a PhD studies we tend to even forget what kind of skills we have. It's very important to self-analyze and break down the skills to the smallest possible and put it in your CV. So while I was developing the system, I have a good knowledge of radiation. I have good knowledge of plasma. I have worked on like light emission, so I know about radiation. I know about different light components. So for those specific skill sets, I was being hired. Then presently I am working for Capgemini Engineering. So here my nuclear knowledge is being used, where I do a lot of nuclear modeling and geometrical modeling for spent fuel, cask, and fresh fuel systems. So again, here my nuclear knowledge is being used, and my modeling of physical system is being used. So, and right now I'm working in a different team also for the industry and innovation platform, where I work for hydrogen solutions. Again, because of my knowledge of hydrogen, how hydrogen is being produced, and what are the properties of hydrogen. So I'm also working as a hydrogen consultant and like in the company. So I wanted to give this personal example because this is how one how from one simple PhD project one can one can navigate the industry. One can go to different sectors if one can reassess their skills and knowledge and demonstrate it like in their CV or like or in LinkedIn. So it is very important to again I'm reiterating the same fact again because as a PhD student we must kind of reevaluate ourselves every 6 months, like uh, list down the skills what you have learned in 6 years, last 6 months. Let's say you have learned a module in Python, you have learned the experimental technique in last 6 months. You may have learned some about some design or anything. It can be from any field, biology, chemistry, or physics, or whatever. So every 6 months, I would really suggest you make a list of the things what you have learned in the last 6 months, jot it down, put it in a CV. Every 6 months, update your CV. So at the end of your 5 years term or 6 years term in in a PhD, you will have a diverse skill set in your CV. Then and all those skill sets will be visible in the industry at the end of the day. So never forget to kind of re-evaluating and understanding yourself at periodical times. So okay, so I'm throwing out the Q&A section right now. So that was the kind of end of my talk. I hope I had able to communicate with my juniors and panel there. So I would like to get some questions from your end.
By your talk. The talk is now open for questions. For any offline, you can, if you want to ask any questions. So, question, Professor Naik.
Hello. I liked your talk. You spoke very well.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's really good. I find the last transparency very interesting. How your research topic, how you can rewrite, which will be in terms of keywords, so that you can get a scope in a company or industry.
Yes, right, sir.
So that part is really interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe if you can generate more examples, how in your thesis title you can convert it to keywords so that company fellow can appreciate that. So that's something it will be useful for students also.
Yeah, right, sir.
So otherwise your talk was really very objective.
Thank you,
and
sir.
Very focused. Very nice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, the answer for what it will be like, my PhD title was Design, Development, and Characterization of Doppler shift spectroscopy for hydrogen beam for nuclear fusion application. So there are a lot of, so when I talk about keywords, so Doppler shift spectroscopy is a keyword. Hydrogen is a keyword here. Nuclear fusion is a keyword. Design, development, and characterization, it's itself a keyword because I'm doing it for a system. I may do it for the spectroscopy system. That's one thing. But when I'm designing, developing, and characterizing a system, it means that I am able to do some system engineering. I'm able to kind of install system. I am able to characterize the system. So even those three terms has their own value. That so we tend to kind of overlook everything and we just summarize our PhD thesis. But we need to really go deep down inside our title. And we need to see how we can break down into smaller fragments and we can project ourselves in the different domains which from the title itself. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Deka.
Yeah, thank you.
So there is a question from Professor Naveen Kumar.
Yes. Dr. Arnab Deka, first of all, let me thank you for sharing your experience. And
Thank you, sir.
HBNI really appreciates the kind of experiences you share with your fellow colleagues and see in a unique way. And I'm much more happy that you shared your journey. Because see, typically if you share a case study which is somebody else, okay, there you cannot put your heart. Here you are able to explain from your heart that, okay, this was my topic and this is how I navigated, as Professor Nayak is also pointed out. So this is really very valuable. Only thing is, if you can highlight, it was something like you highlighted your strengths and your opportunities, which are you looking for. In a way, you can say, can I summarize it like this, that it was SWOT analysis. Now you talked about only strength and opportunities rather than weakness and other things. Am I right?
So, if I'm right, like you're talking about my weakness or trait, or in general?
No. Means what I mean to say is that it was just like a SWOT sort of analysis without highlighting the weaknesses and threats. Means basically, Jana, means in that part you have highlighted what are your strengths, where you have gained your skill sets, okay, and then what are the opportunities you are looking for. Am I right?
Yes. So you meant to ask me that I have certain skills and I've used those skills to for job hunting. So
Right.
and at the same time, I may have some trait in that. So
No,
you meant
threat you need not highlight at this stage. You need to highlight only the strength part and the opportunities which you are looking for. Only two,
okay.
isn't it?
I'm sorry, sir. Like, can you reframe the question? Like,
No. Okay. Okay. This was just sort of comment. And
oh,
other thing
okay.
is,
It's a comment. I thought you want
Yes.
you want me to explain
No,
about my trait.
I want to know. Yeah, I want to know one more thing.
Yeah.
That besides highlighting whatever skill sets you have gained, means your thesis work. Okay. Besides that, you are highlighting the. Isn't it good to highlight the other skill set also?
Yes,
Because
obviously.
right now yes.
Yeah, obviously, that's what I mentioned. So it's over the time of the thesis work, we tend to do a lot of work. Let's say I'm working on some programming language, using some module, I'm doing some experimental analysis, I'm using some technology, some system I'm working on, but that may not be reflected on the title or in my thesis abstract. But I have that skill set. I have those. Let's say I'm working on a Python module. It can be anything. Just for an example, I'm saying. So that let's say I'm working on TensorFlow or some machine learning code. So which may not be visible in the thesis title. But that skill is important to highlight in the CV. That's what I made a point.
Yeah, precisely, because
Yeah.
your thesis work might not be applicable one-to-one to some industry, but the skill
Right.
set which
Yeah,
you
that
have
is important.
gained, like Python you highlighted,
Yeah.
or rather than you say some sort of programming skills, some sort of instrumentation handling skills, those
Right.
skills might be highly useful to the industry.
Yeah, right.
So that
So
is
that's what.
a take-home point for the students who are listening. They
Yeah.
should highlight that part also.
Yes, this is coming. I am saying this from my own experience because I have seen so many CVs of my friends, or that they just write the thesis title, and in the skill set they just write the subject names. Okay, I'm in physics. I'm from physics. I'm from nuclear. Whatever. I'm from mechanical. But at the same time, a lot of things are being lost when one just writes in
Right.
such a small way. One has to just like write in detail, like in the keyword way, that what are the skill set. They did not write in even like lengthy lines. In the CV, only the words are important. Yeah.
Arnab, you can also stop sharing, and also you can your screen can be seen. Then you can see the chat box. Can you?
Okay.
Or shall I read those in the YouTube?
Yeah, I can. Okay, YouTube.
Can you read that, or
Give me a minute. Yeah, I'll open YouTube.
No, there is a chat box where it has been copied, so you can that also you can read. So in industry, so one question is in industry, job much stressful. Is industry job much stressful compared to an academic job like postdoc? Are you in continuous pressure to deliver on time? That was a question. Can you
Okay.
comment on that?
So I would say that stress is kind of subjective to answer, but at least I can say that industry job is more focused oriented. We have a definite goal. We need to deliver on time, and I don't think so in industry which are working on niche fields. There is a strict kind of pressure. I mean, because in engineering or scientific work, the projects goes on for. I mean, the innovation goes on for long amount of time. So if I have to, when we say about continuous pressure, let's say in IT companies and all, obviously there are a lot of pressures to develop solutions immediately and to roll on the packages. But in engineering or general science, I won't say there is too much continuous pressure. But only thing is that, as I mentioned, that one needs to be extremely vigilant while doing the project, because the timelines are very important to maintain. So if somebody at some point of time one is not able to kind of deliver the project on time, that has to be communicated to the team. The challenges has to be explained, and we need to communicate what kind of new timeline you can deliver. So adhering to the timeline is very important in industry, and kind of. And also the stressful part, again, it depends company to company, culture to culture. So a lot of companies are very flexible, and some companies are very strict, and they have too many projects and going on around. So like I cannot kind of comment on that stressful part. Yeah.
Bithika is online, so there is a question from Bithika. What is that? Hi.
Yeah.
Thanks for the nice talk. Can you please
Compare the pros.
compare the pros and cons of the industry over academy?
Yeah. Thank you,
want
Vitika.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Vitika. So again, see, when we discuss about pros and cons of industry over academia, we need to understand for what length of time we are talking about. So after a PhD, one can do a postdoc for maybe a couple of years. Then academia translates to an academic job, which is a research-oriented job in a R&D institute, or one can go for a professor kind of job in a in an academic setting in a university or college. So when you talk about pros and cons, so I would not compare postdoc, because PhD students immediately think about postdoc when they talk about academia. I want to talk beyond that, because uh, even there is the end of one has to end at some point of time, one has to end their postdoc, and they have to come to academia, like in a full-fledged academia. So when I talk about pros and cons, kind of see in an industry, you are very much focused to a specific product, specific service with a specific group. For in academics, you are involved in many projects. You're handling the whole lab. You are handling the kind of PhD students. Maybe you are kind of doing a lot of other things which may not directly be linked to your work, but you have to do it because you are in the academic setting. But where in industry, one needs to be only focused on their on deliverables, so which is kind of a difference. And I think it would not be fair for me to kind of give the cons of both, because I haven't worked in academia as a job holder. I was just a PhD student, and so it is so a PhD student works in a very different way what one works in industry. In industry, right now I'm working for the last 3 years, and I'm working on multiple projects. So let's say in PhD I was just working on only one project, but here I'm like switching project every 3 months. I get a new project, I deliver it, then I get a new project and I deliver it. So here the goals are short term, while in academia the goals are long term. And yeah, so I think again that's kind of subjective to compare both industry and academia.
Thank you. And there's another question from Parvati. Education from university that might happen in various industries. Is education from university enough for the changes in the future that might happen in various industries?
Yes, I would.
Also YouTube.
Yeah, I would say that yes, it is enough, because
Achha.
university education is enough, but at the same time, one has to be really kind of proactive in knowing the skills what are being required in the industry. As I mentioned in my slides, that one need to really understand the industry trends, and one needs to be really proactive in kind of working on developing the skills and advancing the skills so that one can fit in the industries. And university education, of course, is a basic education what one receives. Like if you're talking about master's level of education or bachelor's or even and of course PhD is high level of education. So that is good enough if you want to work in industry. But at the same time, one needs to be really equipped with the skills required for industry. Only theoretical knowledge will not lead you to industry profile. One needs to have those required skill sets which one can deliver in the industry.
आपका चाय कहाँ गया?
Yeah.
आपका चाय, कॉफी?
Okay.
Hello.
I think there's a
Another-
new question. May I read it, ma'am? Yeah.
Yeah, you can read.
Yeah. So Sandan has asked, like, yes, why a few industries consider PhD engineering student as fresher, while some consider the PhD period as experience. Again, Sandan, see, it is in the companies, it's our policies. As a like we cannot have a control on that. Some people, some companies count PhD experience as an experience. I mean, PhD years as an experience, while some doesn't do that. And again, it varies from industry to industry. But again, at the same time, if you're asking me this question in terms of compensation wise, and you want to show that okay, I'm experienced enough for this job, then during your interview time, you definitely need to make a point that you have the required skill sets. You have worked in this project for last 4 or 5 years, and although you are just a PhD student, but you have the required experiences. You have worked by hand. You know you have all the skills. So kind of you need to explain them during your call that you're on paper you have not worked on industry in a company, but you have worked in a setting which is similar to the industry. You have delivered your goal. You have delivered your product. So you and ask them to consider you as an experienced one. So again, it depends on the kind of deliberation you do with the industry. I mean, with the HR or the hiring manager. I think that answers the question. Yeah.
Also another question.
Yeah.
The
I'll read it out.
retirement age, something.
Yeah,
above-
retirement. Yeah, is there any retirement age in private industry? Yeah, I think that goes with the. I mean, people retire by I think 60 or 62. They have retirement age, but that's a official retirement age. But people work as a consultant even after that, and yeah, people can work till their deathbed in private. So yeah, so no one is going to stop you from working if you want to work in private and you want to private private sectors are it's a business setup. They need to have their business. They need to have their business rolling. They need to have their money flowing. They need to deliver the product. They need to have the solutions done. So even if you're a 20-year-old person, you're 80-year-old person, you're delivering the product, you're delivering the services. It is imperative. I mean, it is kind of, it doesn't matter to them at what age you are. So yeah, that is kind of.
There is another question from Chandan only.
Yeah, some global certification courses sponsored by university fill up this gap. Okay. So I would like to know what kind of gap you are talking about. Like, am I missing something, ma'am? Like, Sandan asked some global certification courses sponsored by the university fill up this gap. Oh, you're talking about your previous question that while the experience thing during your PhD. I don't think so that you need some courses to make you an experienced one. Like if you're doing PhD and your work speaks about your experience, so it is very important to show that you are capable of the work. You have the required experiences, and I don't think so. You need a certification course about your PhD to so your experience. Of course, if you want to do a certification course for some specific skill sets to get into a specific job, let's say you are working on some computation thing and you want to work in data science or machine learning, just for an example. And let's say you get a machine learning certificate from Google or whatever. And obviously that will help you. But at the same time, this is not mandatory. If you have the required skills, let's say you work on a machine learning paper, you have published a paper, you already published a conference paper, that itself shows a volume, speaks volume of your work. So you don't need a course, certification course at that point of time. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. And there is also another question from Professor Nayak here.
So I'm just curious to ask you one more question. We call
Startups, yeah.
What is your advice? Suppose after PhD, somebody should try to develop a startup on his own, or he should join the industry.
If I have to give an honest answer about it, unbiased answer, I would, as a PhD student, I would want a PhD student to work in a company, at least understand the dynamics of the business. Maybe one has to have the startup idea, like work on the startup parallelly, but at least understand the business dynamics of a company. Because when we are working in an academic environment like BRC or HBNI or whatever, I mean IP or whatever. So we have a different way of working in academics, how the process happens, how the business. So there is no business out there, right? So, but in industry, everything is business, everything is money, and a startup is all about money at the end of the day. We do startup, I mean, to get the business moving. When we are creating some product or we are delivering some service. So in either cases, if one has the capacity, know-how to make a product, very good and fine. But to work on a industry environment, at least for let's say a couple of years, 2-3 years, to understand how the organization hierarchy works, how the HR works, how the different department works, how do they crosstalk, so that is kind of important. So I would suggest one goes for a job at least for some years.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your answer.
Thank you.
That is a very good day. I also very much appreciate that you have discussed about the micro skills and keywords. So that is very, very informative about the students, that you should write in your CV about all the micro skills, not only the main skills.
Yeah, right.
So, that is very much important. So that will give the industry to the key points that how to where they can hire you. So any other questions from online or offline?
No, I have just one suggestion that maybe Arnab, your talk was very good and it is useful for the students. We look forward to inviting you for a wider platform. I can request Madam, and maybe either online or even in physical mode also, because this sort of interactions are really very good for the potential students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me the platform.
So thank you, Dr. Arnab Deka.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thanks to all who are present here in person, and thanks to our also online participants. I am sure that though they are not a participant here offline, but that your YouTube talk will be going to be viewed in afterwards by the students, and they will get benefited. And it's happening quite that every talk we can see that there afterwards there is maybe 100 or 150 viewers, so minimum. So they will get benefited definitely. Because of the students today, there is a lot of rain, so people cannot come couldn't come from BRC. So
Yeah,
that is
right.
the main reason. There is a less participants there. And thanks also to IT persons for making this online talk possible. Thanks all. So we conclude here today's webinar. So thanks. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.